life is not a competition, though we often treat it like one. We rush forward, comparing our pace to others, forgetting that every path unfolds in its own time. Wisdom begins when you realize that your journey is meant to be lived, not hurried. One of the most profound truths about life is that no two paths are ever the same. From the moment we are born, we are placed on a journey shaped by countless forces: our upbringing, our experiences, our choices, and the subtle currents of chance that move through the world. It is easy to forget this, especially in a society that constantly compares achievements, milestones, and progress. We see the successes of others and feel pressure to mimic, to catch up, or even to surpass. Yet this is a misunderstanding of life itself. Your journey is not meant to be a copy of anyone else's. It is uniquely yours. Consider a river. Each river follows its own course, winding around obstacles, carving valleys, and finding its own way to the sea. One river may move swiftly, leaping over rocks and rushing through valleys, while another meanders gently, pausing to nourish the land along the way. Neither river is wrong, neither is superior. They are simply different expressions of the same natural force. In the same way, your life unfolds in a pattern that is uniquely yours, and only by respecting this can you truly thrive. When we understand the uniqueness of our path, we begin to release the suffocating weight of comparison. We stop measuring ourselves by someone else's standards, their timelines, their achievements. Instead, we start to observe our own rhythm. Perhaps you take longer to reach certain milestones, but your experiences, lessons, and insights are richer because of it. The detours, the setbacks, and even the pauses, all of these are not failures. They are your curriculum, designed for your growth in your own unique sequence. Embracing your unique path also invites freedom. Freedom from societal expectations, from self-imposed pressures, and from the endless noise of comparison. It allows you to live with authenticity, to follow impulses and passions that resonate deeply, rather than those dictated by the world. It teaches patience and compassion, not just for others, but for yourself. You recognize that your timing is yours alone, and that life is not a race, but a process, a beautiful unfolding that cannot be rushed or forced. So today, pause and reflect. What pressures are you carrying because you are measuring your journey against someone else's? What beauty might emerge if you trusted the rhythm of your own life, accepted your unique trajectory, and walked with courage and patience along your path? Remember, the path that feels slow, strange, or unconventional may be exactly the one you were meant to take. I'd love to hear from you. What unique aspects of your path have you learned to embrace? Share your experiences in the comments below, and let's inspire each other to honor the journeys we are on. In a world that glorifies speed, efficiency, and instant results, patience often feels like a forgotten virtue. We are taught to chase goals relentlessly, to measure success by how quickly we arrive at a destination, as if life were a race with a finish line. Yet, as Alan Watts often reminded us, life is not a problem to be solved, but a process to be experienced. The beauty of your journey is not in how fast you move, but in how deeply you live each step along the way. Patience is not passivity, it is an active engagement with the present moment. When we rush, we miss the subtleties of life, the lessons in setbacks, the beauty in quiet moments, and the clarity that comes from reflection. To be patient is to allow life to unfold in its natural rhythm, without forcing or manipulating it to conform to our timelines. This does not mean abandoning ambition or goals. Rather, it is an understanding that true growth cannot be hurried. A seed cannot sprout before it is ready, and neither can we bloom before our time. Consider a craftsman working carefully with wood or clay. The value of their creation is not measured by the speed at which they complete it, but by the care, attention, and patience poured into every detail. Life is much the same. Each decision, each action, each moment of stillness shapes the person we are becoming. When we honor this rhythm, we find a quiet confidence, a sense that, even in times of uncertainty, we are progressing in ways that matter, even if those ways are not immediately visible. Patience also teaches resilience. Life often presents challenges that cannot be solved with haste. Relationships take time to nurture, skills take years to master, and wisdom is acquired only through experience. When we embrace patience, we stop fighting the current and begin to swim with it, understanding that setbacks are not obstacles but integral parts of the flow. We learn to trust the unfolding of events, to surrender to the process, and to act with discernment rather than impulsivity. This perspective shifts our focus from frantic comparison to mindful engagement. It reminds us that it is not the speed of our achievements that defines our lives, but the depth of our presence and the consistency of our efforts. By valuing patience over speed, we cultivate a mindset that thrives not on external validation but on internal alignment, clarity, and peace. How has patience shaped your personal journey? Have you learned to embrace the slow unfolding of life? Share your reflections in the comments below, and let's explore together how patience can transform our path. In a world obsessed with comparison, it is all too easy to measure ourselves against the achievements, possessions, or perceived success of others. Social media feeds, conversations, and even subtle societal pressures remind us constantly of where we should be, who we should be, and what we should have accomplished. Yet, as Alan Watts so often emphasized, your life is yours alone. No two journeys are identical, and trying to run someone else's race is a sure path to frustration, disillusionment, and inner conflict. Focusing on your own path is not about isolation or self centeredness. Rather, it is about honoring the unique rhythm, lessons, and experiences that belong to you. Each person's path unfolds according to its own timing, shaped by choices, circumstances, and inner growth. When we constantly compare, we lose sight of our own direction, mistaking the external benchmarks for true progress. The real measure of success, Watts would remind us, is not found in mimicry or imitation, but in authenticity, the courage to walk where your own heart leads. Consider the bamboo tree. For years it remains beneath the surface, showing no sign of growth. Yet during this time, its roots are growing deep, preparing to support a rapid rise when the moment is right. Similarly, your progress may be quiet, invisible, or misunderstood by those around you. But focusing on your own path allows the deep work, the cultivation of skills, resilience, and character to flourish without distraction. You learn to appreciate the subtle, often invisible layers of growth that no comparison can measure. When we focus on our own journey, we develop clarity and intention. Every step is chosen consciously, rather than dictated by the fear of falling behind or the pressure to keep pace with others. This focus does not prevent learning from others, it simply reframes it. Inspiration becomes a tool, not a standard to mimic. Your path becomes your canvas, with every choice, action, and reflection adding to a unique and meaningful masterpiece. Moreover, focusing on your own path fosters peace of mind. The constant habit of comparison breeds anxiety and dissatisfaction because it is rooted in the illusion that life is a zero-sum game. Watts reminds us that life is not a competition but an experience to be lived fully. When you center your attention on your own journey, you cultivate contentment and gratitude for the present moment, while also nurturing the patience to allow your future to unfold organically. How do you stay focused on your own path without being distracted by others' lives? Share your experiences in the comments below. Let's create a conversation about embracing individuality and walking our unique journeys with clarity and purpose. In our modern world, urgency is celebrated. We are told that speed equals success, that those who hurry are those who win, and that every moment not filled with visible progress is wasted. Yet Alan Watts often reminds us that life is not a race against a clock, but a river flowing in its own time. True growth, meaningful accomplishments, and personal evolution cannot be forced. They require patience, observation, and trust in the natural unfolding of events. Patience does not mean passivity. It is not the act of waiting idly, but rather the art of moving with awareness, letting each moment of life unfold fully before leaping to the next. The seeds of a tree do not sprout overnight. They lie dormant, absorbing nutrients, slowly preparing to rise when conditions are right. Similarly, the milestones in your life, your wisdom, skills, relationships, and achievements need time to take root. Rushing them often leads to shallow growth, frustration, or even failure. When you prioritize patience over urgency, you begin to appreciate the subtle rhythms of life. You learn that each challenge, delay, or pause is not a setback, but an integral part of your journey. The slow unfolding teaches resilience, self-awareness, and the ability to savor each experience without being consumed by the next. Watts would say that the joy of living is not in arriving at a destination, but in the dance of life itself. The ebb and flow, the pauses and accelerations, the learning that comes in the in between. Urgency often creates anxiety because it places your happiness in the future, in a goal or outcome that has not yet arrived. Patience, however, cultivates contentment in the present. It allows you to engage fully with the moment, to notice details, to connect deeply with people, and to make thoughtful, deliberate choices. When we stop forcing life and start observing it, we align ourselves with its natural tempo, finding harmony rather than conflict with the world around us. Practicing patience does not mean avoiding ambition or slowing down your pursuit of dreams. Instead, it means understanding that each step must be grounded in mindfulness, and that progress is a product of consistent effort over time rather than frantic bursts of activity. Like a river carving its path through a landscape, persistence and patience together shape a powerful, enduring impact. How do you practice patience in a world that constantly pushes urgency? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Your insights may inspire someone else to embrace the rhythm of their own journey rather than rushing toward a destination. In life, we often mistake intensity for progress. We believe that monumental effort, sudden bursts of productivity, or dramatic changes are the keys to success. Yet Alan Watts teaches us that the universe does not operate in leaps and bounds, but in gentle, consistent rhythms. The stars do not flare into existence overnight, and rivers do not carve valleys in a single storm. True transformation, whether in relationships, personal growth, or skill building, emerges from steady, persistent effort, not sporadic bursts of intensity. Consistency is the quiet art of showing up. It is the gentle rhythm of repeated action that eventually shapes reality. When you water a plant daily, even in small amounts, it grows stronger than if you drench it once in a week and then neglect it. The same principle applies to the mind and the heart. Small, deliberate actions practiced day by day accumulate over time, forming habits, building resilience, and creating mastery. Watts would say that life is a series of small gestures, each seemingly insignificant in isolation, yet profound when woven together over months and years. Intensity, by contrast, is often exhausting. It demands energy, generates stress, and creates the illusion of progress. We may feel busy, important, or productive, yet without regularity, our efforts often dissipate, leaving us frustrated or empty. The real power lies in repetition, in showing up consistently, in honoring the process rather than chasing immediate results. Consistency aligns you with the natural cadence of life, allowing growth to unfold organically rather than being forced. Moreover, consistency nurtures confidence. Each small step reinforces your ability to persist, strengthens your self-trust, and reminds you that you are capable of sustaining effort over time. This builds a mental fortitude that intensity alone cannot achieve. Watts often spoke of the importance of participating fully in the moment, without being enslaved by goals or outcomes. When you act consistently, you engage in life fully, learning, adjusting, and growing with each day. You are present in the process rather than being obsessed with a distant destination. Remember, even small actions compound. Reading 10 pages daily, walking a few minutes every morning, or taking time to reflect for 5 minutes each night. These practices seem minor, yet over months and years, they transform your life in ways sudden intensity cannot. Life rewards patience and persistence, not frantic overexertion. What small, consistent habits have shaped your life? Share them in the comments below. Your daily choices, repeated with care, may inspire others to embrace the quiet, transformative power of consistency. In our society, so much attention is given to the end result. The promotion, the degree, the perfect body, the dream house, or the milestone achievement. We are conditioned to chase outcomes as though they alone define our worth or success. Yet Alan Watts reminds us that life is not merely a series of destinations. It is the journey itself that holds meaning. To focus solely on the outcome is to ignore the richness, the lessons, and the subtle beauty present in the very act of living. Embracing the process means finding value in each step, each small action, and each moment of learning. When you are caught in the relentless pursuit of a goal, life can feel like a treadmill. You move constantly, yet the present slips quietly through your fingers. Watts often spoke of the folly in trying to arrive somewhere, as though the joy of life were always in the next achievement rather than here now. True fulfillment emerges when we participate fully in the unfolding of our daily efforts, when we notice the texture of our work, the depth of our relationships, and the evolution of our character as it develops over time. The process also teaches patience. Real growth rarely happens overnight. It requires engagement, reflection, and persistence. Each moment of struggle, each setback, each small victory is part of the tapestry of progress. By focusing on the process, we are liberated from the tyranny of results. The goal becomes not a distant obsession, but a natural consequence of consistent, mindful action. When you pour your attention and care into the present, outcomes often take care of themselves. Moreover, embracing the process deepens your connection to life. Life is not a checklist to complete, but an experience to inhabit. When you fully engage with what you are doing, whether it is learning a new skill, nurturing a relationship, or pursuing a personal passion, you transform the ordinary into something extraordinary. What's often compared life to music or dance, the purpose is not simply to reach the final note or strike the last pose, but to move gracefully, joyfully, and intentionally in each moment. Finally, focusing on the process nurtures resilience. When challenges arise, and they always will, the journey itself becomes your teacher. You learn to adapt, to flow, and to find meaning even in difficulty. Outcomes may falter, plans may change, yet the richness of the process is always available to you. What part of your journey are you learning to appreciate more fully? Share your thoughts in the comments below and inspire others to embrace the beauty of their own process. Many of us live our lives chasing approval, the nod of a colleague, the praise of a teacher, the likes on a social media post, or the admiration of strangers. We measure our worth by what others think of us, seeking validation outside ourselves. Alan Watts often reminded us that this is a subtle form of bondage. When our sense of value depends on external recognition, we give away our freedom. True confidence, he suggested, emerges not from applause, but from a deep internal alignment with our own principles, passions, and purpose. Detaching from external validation does not mean rejecting kindness or ignoring constructive feedback. Rather, it is an invitation to root your sense of self-worth within. It is to understand that the universe does not owe you acknowledgement, and yet you can still live fully and meaningfully. When you stop measuring yourself against other people's opinions, you release the heavy burden of comparison. You are free to explore, to create, and to be imperfect without fear. Watts often described this as stepping off the stage of constant performance and simply experiencing the dance of life without the need for applause. Detachment also allows us to focus on what truly matters. When our energy is no longer consumed by the pursuit of others' approval, we can direct it toward growth, creativity, and genuine connection. Relationships flourish not when we try to impress, but when we show up authentically. Work becomes a process of mastery and fulfillment, not a mere ticket to recognition. Life gains richness when we engage with it for its own sake, rather than as a series of performances for an imagined audience. Moreover, detaching from external validation nurtures resilience. Criticism, rejection, and setbacks are inevitable parts of life. When our sense of self-worth is anchored externally, these moments can crush our spirit. Yet when we cultivate inner validation, we can face failure with equanimity. Each obstacle becomes an opportunity for learning rather than a judgment on our value. Watts often spoke of life as a river. Resisting its flow through worry about others' opinions only creates turbulence, while acceptance allows you to move gracefully, regardless of the currents around you. Detachment is also a form of liberation. It allows your identity to expand beyond the narrow constraints of what others expect or approve of. You begin to listen more to your intuition, to your inner voice, and to the subtle callings of your own existence. Freedom comes not from isolation, but from the courage to honor your inner compass, even in a world obsessed with external markers of success. How do you cultivate self-validation in your daily life? Share your experiences in the comments below and help others step off the stage of constant performance. In a world that glorifies speed, instant results, and constant achievement, patience often feels like a lost art. Yet Alan Watts frequently reminded us that life is not a race, but a rhythm, a river that moves in its own time. To embrace patience is to align ourselves with this natural flow rather than fighting against it. It is to recognize that growth, fulfillment, and meaningful progress rarely come in a single leap. They unfold gradually, like the slow opening of a flower or the steady rise of the sun. Patience is not mere waiting. It is an active, conscious state of trust in the process of life. It is understanding that rushing toward an outcome or trying to force circumstances to conform to our timetable often leads to frustration, anxiety, and missed opportunities. Watts likened this to trying to push the tide. The waves will follow their own rhythm, and resisting only creates tension. By practicing patience, we allow events, relationships, and personal growth to evolve organically. We learn to dance with time instead of struggling against it. One of the most profound aspects of patience is that it cultivates clarity. When we stop chasing immediate results, we gain space to observe, reflect, and understand. We can see patterns, recognize possibilities, and make wiser choices. Patience allows our actions to be guided not by impulse or fear, but by insight and intention. It transforms the journey itself into the reward. Watts often emphasized that it is not the destination, but the process of living fully, that holds the deepest meaning. Patience also builds resilience. Life, by its nature, is unpredictable. Setbacks, disappointments, and challenges are inevitable. But a patient mind is not easily shaken. It understands that every obstacle contains a lesson, that each delay or difficulty is part of a larger, unfolding story. By embracing patience, we develop the inner strength to endure hardships without losing our balance, confidence, or sense of self. Furthermore, patience enriches our relationships. When we allow others the time and space to grow, we cultivate understanding, empathy, and trust. We no longer force connection or change. Instead, we nurture it gently, like tending a garden. This gentle patience often inspires others to flourish in ways that impatience never could. Ultimately, patience is a superpower because it frees us from the tyranny of urgency. It allows us to live fully in the present, to appreciate the subtle beauty in each moment, and to trust in the natural unfolding of life. Watts encouraged us to see life not as a problem to solve, but as a melody to experience. And in that melody, patience is the quiet, steady rhythm that makes everything possible. How do you practice patience in your daily life? Share your experiences and insights in the comments below. Your wisdom could help someone else move with more calm and trust through their journey.